What up, though? Welcome. Just come on in. Wipe your feet off at the door. That's all I ask. And what I mean by that is hitting that like button as soon as you come in. That subscribe button if you ain't already subscribed. Finna have a little bit of fun today. Gonna talk hip hop, poetry, and conversations. Of course, I'm gonna get into a poem or two during the whole ordeal of the show. I thank you for tuning in. Really, I do. See, it's a difference when you do what you love. I mean, literally, I was at work like, man, I can't wait to get home and just talk my shit. Poetry and conversations. And today's topic, I ain't gonna say we got a battle. I ain't gonna say we got a versus. We just got two delicate MCs. Bring this down a notch. Just powerful MCs, you know? Good MCs, dope MCs. That can be compared. It all depends on how you look at it. But we got a couple things we're gonna put in the mix though. I do got a call-in number. Of course you can comment. Because I know some people be watching on their phone, be like, how can I call in? I'm watching it on my phone. So that's cool too. But if you do want to call in and vocally speak your opinion, the number is 248-242-2947. That's 248. Matter of fact, it's in the description of the video. But I'm gonna say it one more time. It's 248-242-2947. But of course, I like to start off with a poem because we going old school. It's Throwback Thursday anyway. Just going to relax. You in? We chilling. We gonna take our time with this. Got me a little wine today too. It's thirsty Thursday, and why not? I always remember never be afraid to dream. I got merchandise as you can see. The link is in the description to get the merchandise also if you want to support. That's cool. Got shirts, intelligence is sexy. This one a little raw right here, but it's for the streets. Nigga, that bitch a hoe. It's actually one of the poems I got to. A lot of people in Detroit like that poem. A lot of people this period who hear that poem. It's kind of hard to promote it because it's cussing. And I got the word nigga in it. So sometimes I kind of get, I don't say I get flagged, but they keep it at a minimum with the cussing. You know, it's kind of hard when you, from the ground up, and using certain words and already just super established to get away with stuff like that on the up tip when you growing. But it's definitely a poem a lot of people like. Like I said, I got intelligence is sexy. All types of merchandise. Just hit the link in the description if you want to support. We're going to talk about Big Daddy Kane and LL Cool J though. I mean, who you picking? Who you rolling with? I ain't gonna say they one and the same, but I think there was some similarities there that I say like we can compare them to. It's fair. It's fair. But since we on the 80s and 90s tip, I'm gonna start the show off with this poem piece I wrote called. This one called 80s Baby. It's for all my people that grew up in the 80s, who had their teenage years in the 80s and things like that, or had their real preteen days in the 80s. That's usually how it go. If you was born in the 70s, you basically an 80s baby. If you was born in the 80s, you basically a 90s baby. And so on and so on. See if you can dig this poem though. Listen to me. Remember Saturday mornings we used to watch cartoons, eating cereal, arguing over the channels. My favorite was Looney Tunes, Schoolhouse Rock. We stopped so mama wouldn't complain. 12 at noon is a family meeting as we gather around the TV to watch Soul Train. Learn the latest moves. Then it's time to slide. Lotion up my legs, pull up my socks. I hear my friends outside. Neighborhood crush. Blush as she played double dutch. Circle around the block one more times on our bikes. Hope they notice to talk to us. Or just stand there froze. You see, pose like I'm cool is a must. Young without no money, but we still yelled out ho for the ice cream truck. Friends together. You see, we walk to the park in bunches, getting cussed out by old ladies because we walking on their grass without summertime free lunches. Walk past the drinks, bobbing and weaving through the reefer, hoping my family don't ask me to dance again because they sitting on the porch with the house stereo speaker. Loving my childhood. But why do we want to be grown? A whole lifetime can happen in one day in the ghetto before the street lights came on. A Saturday I conquered. A Saturday I feared. Life as an 80s baby. These kids have no idea. Rap talk. Snap, 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 snaps. That's what we doing. 80s baby. Where you from? You know that era? What you know about going outside on your bike? Hearing your friends outside. Like that one picture, or I ain't gonna say a meme, but that one picture they had when they had all the bikes just sitting in front of somebody's house. That's where you knew where everybody was at. That was the car right there. That's where you know where it was popping off at. You saw it, you came outside, you walking up the block. You see them bikes all in front of somebody's house. Oh, they all in front of the B house. Oh, let's go down there. That's before all this social media. Before people were checking in where they was at. But let's get into it though. Let's talk about it. Big Daddy Kane. LL Cool J. And where can we literally start though? That's the question. Where do we start? Where I want to start? Let's dig deep. Let's unravel this shit. Let's dissect this shit. Poetry and conversations. Both charismatic. Is it charismatic? Both guys with charisma for the ladies. Both guys got lyrics. Both solo artists. Both had style, knew how to dress. Both had showmanship. What else can we say? What else can we throw in there? Now, on one hand, I'm thinking of giving Kane an edge. Off top, I'm just going to start it off like that. I'm giving Kane an edge. Now, this is just me talking. Kane was a bit more lyrical. That's why most used to try to compare him to Rakim more than other people. And we all know what Rakim stands when it comes to lyrics. LL, he had an edge because he was more commercial. When I say edge, it's not that he was raw, but it's more to the fact that he had more commercial appeal. Being that he had that Def Jam machine behind him. You gotta remember, LL, he started out. He was a kid when he started out. He's 16 years old. And he came out with his first single. Everybody research that shit. Crush Groove. We all remember the infamous scene. I mean, when I say infamous scene, I mean just classic. And they just walk in and just rush. Like, box. You knew what time it was. That was just one of the dopest scenes in Crush Groove. Now, Crush Groove, we really showing that, hey, that's classic. That came out back in like 84. So that was the introduction to LL. So he started off young. So remember that. He had more of a commercial edge than Big Daddy Kane did. Big Daddy Kane, he was with Cold Chillin'. Which I can't say that I ever just knew who ran Cold Chillin'. I want to say Juice Crew, because mostly all of them was over there on Cold Chillin'. But I just could never just put the names with who was the owners of Cold Chillin' Records. But even though mostly everybody from the Juice Crew was over there, you know, you had Biz Marquis, Sharon, all them, the whole crew, Cool G Rap, Cold Chillin'. They definitely was a foundation over there and had their own movement. So when you got Kane here, songs like Raw, Warming Up, these are songs that not only lyrical, but they still get heard in some of the underground, some of the darkest clubs and hip hop spots and things like that. It's kind of like it was the soundtrack. But of course, it can't compare to the LL, the big songs that he had. And when I say it can't compare, it's not the whole overall of them songs can't compare. But it's just in the beginning stages. When you had your LL songs like I Need Love, Radio, those songs was commercial, like quick. And you gotta remember too, this is at a time when there wasn't as many rappers as it is now. So it's like when these albums came out, you had time to dissect them and take it all in until somebody else came out. You had to wait a couple of months. So if they was to drop these two at the same time, I mean, how would the challenge be? But being that we love hip hop so much, and we were just waiting for somebody new or something fresh to come every other month, didn't cause for that much competition unless those MCs chose it. That's the only time you heard about. I mean, of course, you will hear MC always rapping about I'm better than such and such, but they wouldn't call the names and stuff like that until those certain crews and people actually made diss songs about each other to where you straight up knew who they were talking about and the fire was lit. But keep in mind, all these MCs are always competitive. I mean, art is just competitive, period. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, I watch so many people talk about certain things or artists, just period. It's still competition. It's always competition. No matter if an artist sailed or not, or they got love. It's like either one or two things. It's you straight up competitive, or it's going to be friendly competition, or you looking at yourself being surrounded by people that's good just to sharpen your skills, or you want to be amongst the greats. That's just an artist mentality. You can't run from that. I mean, let's just face it. You want to be competitive because you love what you do. If you're in love with the art and what you do, it's a competitive nature. That's why you had these rappers like Big Daddy Kane and LL Cool J always talking about, I'm the better MC and you this weak, or you that bad, to make themselves look good. But even though LL had his feuds, LL had plenty of battles now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, as far when I say battles, I'm talking about like outspoken battles to where it's calling out names and him versus another MC on record. He had those battles. Most one that the Cool Mo D and LL one is debatable. But LL was so young. But by me being young, I took on L though. I think I'm just LL, his was more entertaining than Cool Mo D to me. That's just me. But I do understand people who are older than me, how they look at that battle. They look at it like Mo D was just more seasoned and LL was a kid, so he wasn't even ready. But as over time, once you put the whole shell together, we know whose career was or is bigger and who succeeded a little bit more. No disrespect to whatever Cool Mo D is doing in his life and what he got going on. But as far as entertainment and musically, we see who sustained and progress a little bit further on the scale of entertainment. But Kane, you gotta remember, Kane brought entertainment to the game. He was one of those. And that's one thing a lot of them rappers did back in them 90s. You had your Heavy D's, you had your Big Daddy Kane. They had dancers. And I think that's one thing that really goes with showmanship that really was a big factor that helped these guys stand out a little bit. You gotta remember, Heavy D had Trouble T. I know that he wanted to pass, because matter of fact, he the one that passed that hit his head or something. He was dancing and passed away. Then Kane, he had Scoop and Scrap Lover. That's entertainment. You know how you had Kid and Play, they doing dance routines on the stage. The whole showmanship. Sometimes dressing in suits. Kane had you when they wear the flat top. Kane, he really is a trendsetter. If we really just break it down, he is a trendsetter. Most don't even know that the whole Kane, I don't say Kane, but Jay-Z, he's really he's a chip off the block of Big Daddy Kane tree. The whole Brooklyn and style and being up under someone, influence, being shown. Although, of course, Jay-Z took it to a whole nother level, but he still want to shy away from telling the world that he was influenced by Big Daddy Kane. And of course, they all from Brooklyn also. So just think about the impact that Kane had on rap, on hip-hop. It's like he was a mixture of some of the things that you wanted in an MC. I mean, let's look at it. He had style. He was wearing a chain suit just as much as Slick Rick. So he got a little bit of that going on. He got the raw street cred of a Rakim. And he was once saying young, gifted, and black also. He was on that type of tip too. He sprinkled in a little bit of that in his music. So just think about all his counterparts that were shining at the same time. And the way that he just grabbed a little bit from each one. And was still shining them amongst the other MCs. Kane deserves a little bit more credit than he get, I think. Now be patient with me though. We're gonna go over to LL because he's groundbreaking. We know that. So that's why I'm asking you, who do you choose? You can put it in the comments, whether now or when you get to the end of the video. You could just say who you got and who you choose and why. But like I was saying again, look how Kane was moving. He held himself down in the crew. He held himself down being amongst the Juice crew. He still was a ladies' man. He still was lyrical. He still was dancing on stage. He still was able to make songs that appealed to others. Then not to mention I ain't gonna say who sought off who, but he branched out with a little bit of New Jack Swing music / almost R&B when he working with Teddy Riley and those things that he did. That man deserves a little bit more credit. I mean, think about that whole combination. With That I Get the Job Done and songs like that. That's that Teddy Riley influence. Just think if you're a rapper, but you looking at R&B and you seeing how R&B is moving over here. Because definitely the New Jack Swing was very, very impactful in the 80s and 90s. Well, the 90s definitely for sure. I mean, we saw what Guy and Rex and Effect and Teddy Riley and everything he got going on and doing. So just imagine being an MC and still being able to credit and bridge that what's ever new over here with R&B. And not to mention the voice, that whole, I don't want to say monotone, but that his voice is distinctive. Kind of like a Barry White of hip hop. That was Big Daddy Kane. He had that voice. He had that aura about himself to where when I do these songs for the woman that I'm smooth. That's talent. Like I said, he deserved credit for things like that. That's why he was able to make songs like Smooth Operator. Just think about the tone of a song like Smooth Operator. And then think of the tone of a song like Raw. That's basically, I ain't gonna say two whole different people, but it's two whole different energies. Even his voice, even his cadence and all of that is two different, they both going two separate ways. But it's still powerful and it's still hip hop and it's still all him. So just imagine being an MC at a time like that when things are just shifting and changing and you can adjust like that. That man deserves more credit. That's powerful. Like I say, he's like the hip hop Barry White, but he still was doing all the things all the others did. And let's move over to LL. Because he was able to do them all too. He was Raw, which happened to be a Big Daddy Kane song, Raw. And that's classic material right there, Raw. It's a beast. So let's just move over here to LL a little bit. With those same elements that that Kane had, LL had those also. He was a ladies' man. He was quick to take off his shirt. And not to mention, he saw his lane. He saw his lane early. We got to give it up to L. He stuck to the script early. I mean, let's just get straight to it. One of his first big singles ever was what? Was I Need Love. Which he's 16, 17 years old making a song. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall. I mean, classic like that. This thing, he started right there in that pocket. He knew it. Or I don't know who gave him the idea or what made him do it. Even though hip hop was raw, he come in with a hip hop love song, which is basically was one of its kind. I can't think of no other song that was early like that. That's considered a hip hop love song. That was the first. So when I say it's damn near like a hip hop ballad. So when I say LL found this pocket early, he knew like, okay, I'm about to talk to these women. This is what I'm rapping to. And he did that ever since his whole career. His first single for every album, if you go back and look, that I can think of, that was really making some noise, especially them albums from the 90s on up. Every song was a song to the woman. It was a song about a woman. Hey Lover. All these songs, Doing It, all these singles. He found this lane. He knew what he was doing. I'm the type of guy. All these songs was catering and talking to the woman. He knew his audience. And as an artist, you have to do that. Know who your audience is. Know who's listening to you. That's a powerful tool if you can manage to do it and pull it off. But of course, he had the lyrics. Even though on one hand I can't say this, LL made some bullshit, and I said this before in another video. I can't think of which one. I mean, Kane made some bullshit too. I mean, as time went on, they both made some bullshit. But LL, his good definitely outweigh his bad. But LL did make some bullshit, some songs that I was like, damn, like what is that? Like what is that? I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I understand. And especially a lot of his fill-in songs, because I used to buy all them tapes and CDs as a youngin'. So some of them fill-in songs and songs there used to be like, this ain't that, you know. It seemed like he was a little bit lazy. But like I say, the good songs is the good songs. But the showmanship, that's another thing we gotta compare. LL's showmanship is powerful. Kane showmanship is very good. Like I say, he got dancers. So you have to weigh both of those also. Who got better showmanship? I mean, that's a factor. That's a real big factor. And then I remember LL, he had songs like Mama Said Knock You Out. I mean, that's just energy. You know, I could just imagine him just still doing that song. It just take you back. So, it's definitely a lot to consider. If I had to choose, I'm going with Kane, because I'm more of a lyrical guy. I'm going with Kane. LL, he got that stand power. Not saying that Kane don't, but LL got that. It's just something about when you were legends and your name just ring off just a little bit more. You can kind of get away with more. You're more commercialized and you more sought after, maybe. But me being more of a student, just to listen to one more than the other, it'll be Kane. I even like, what's the Kane now? With the Smooth Operator. That was Big Daddy thing. I was a kid. I used to listen here. That album cover there, when he just sitting up there, he got the chicks. He got about 3 of them around him. 3 chicks up there just sitting there. Man, all this shit is just tools. All this shit was just tools to the brain. I remember that album cover vividly. I remember LL album covers too. Especially when he stood on top of the car, leaning up against the fence. I mean, all these is classic. These are themes. It's like you could look at these pictures and just think of a whole time and moment in history. So when you look at those album covers, all those things factor in too, because it's an energy when you look at something before you listen to it. I mean, I think a lot of people really don't get that as much or understood that as much. Because it definitely was a combination. If you listening to somebody, looking at pictures of them, that's a powerful tool. And I think we really missing that with the whole digital and just, you know, of course the album cover is there. But when you used to have that CD or that tape, you open up that boy and you looking at all them different pictures and read them credits while you listening to them rap and talk to you and be whatever they own. It give you it can give you a perception about what you listen to at that very moment if you really pay attention to it, and if you really in tune like that. that shit'll really take you somewhere to where you liking the album a little bit more or less. I mean, but you have to be in tune to feel that shit. Because when you look at certain pictures, you visualizing certain things, but when you hearing certain songs, that's why it was a whole package deal. So that shit powerful though, if you really think about it though. And with the radio, when LL first dropped radio, of course his face was known that was just a big radio. So that album, okay, let's do this then. Let's do this. Who got more classic albums then? But like, what album is classic? What album is classic? All right, I can check it out because I don't even want to. I'm gonna do it the safe way because I don't even want to just go on the top of the head. I'm just gonna look at it. I definitely know Kane got the first one for sure. That's a classic. We got Long Live the Kane. Long Live the Kane. Them the two that I was saying. They got Long Live the Kane. And it's a Big Daddy thing. Yeah, that's the album I was talking about with the young ladies on the cover. Man, that's classic material. After that, shit, I ain't gonna say Kane was like, but he did have the shit on the Juice soundtrack. That was, he still sprinkling a couple singles here and there. So, he always was still there with a verse or two. But I guess we on that Taste of Chocolate. That shit was I can't really write with that Taste of Chocolate. And let's go to LL though. That Bigger and Different. Damn, I didn't bring up Bigger and Different. Now we go to LL though. How many classes we can say he got? I know he got them. Okay, the first one, Radio, and Bad. That Bigger and Different. Those two. Walking with a Panther, it was a couple songs on there. It's like hit and miss off that joint. I ain't gonna say classic. That Big Old Butt, that was even my shit. Mama Said Knock You Out. Oh, that Mr. Smith up there. I skipped that one. He got a lot of albums. But some of that shit was shaky. Well, I say they 2 and 2 then as far as classic, but they both still got songs that just sprinkle through and that can still be heard and played in verses. And we know their potential, we know their talent, because we know what LL did on a 4-3-2-1 songs like that. He has songs here. That Mr. Smith had some nice cuts on it. I do remember that. But that was the one with the Hey Lover and all that. And the lounge and all that. So that was a time right there. Trackmasters. Matter of fact, you gotta get us some more credit too. I said that in on the comments and a couple other people talking music. Trackmaster, they deserve a little bit more credit too. When we talk producers, especially for around the 90s and stuff like that, Tony Pope, their name need to be in the conversation. I think a little bit more. So they definitely was working close in hand with LL. So they brought in, I ain't gonna say they brought him back, but they definitely gave him that momentum to thrive through the 90s. But of course, he was doing movies and all other type of stuff, so you was gonna see LL anyway. Shit, he's still on TV. Him and Ice-T, they still get money. They still get that money off them law shows, them cop shows, whatever that shit is. I get it though. Do what you do. Some of these people don't even know that they ever was rappers. So most people still know LL was a rapper. But they damn sure probably know Ice-T was a rapper. But the people know some of them law shows. If you tuned in, you tuned in. But it's kind of hard for me though. But you can say what you want to say in the comments and say who you choose. Whether you choose LL or you choose Big Daddy Kane. They both lyrical. They both talented. They both had charisma. They both gave off energy, had stage presence, like I say, showmanship. And both just two talented guys. So you pick who you pick. I'm gonna give y'all one more poem though. I got this one piece I wrote. And since we talking hip hop, it's actually on the Paid in Full. I wrote this off of Airbnb Rakim song Paid in Full. I basically just flipped his song into a poem. I actually got the video up also if you go through my back catalog. because I did a couple reaction videos to a couple of songs, and Paid in Full just happened to be one of them though. So I'm gonna get into this piece real quick. I'm gonna read off the ink though, because I ain't did it in so long, I don't even remember it by heart. So sometimes I have to do it how I do it. Listen to me though. Thinking of a master plan, cause ain't nothing but bills inside my hand. Damn, just got paid, but all my money is spent. Take out food, clothes, drinks, gas, feeding these honeys, and still gotta pay my rent. 1,000 plus, paychecks never enough. Living in the ghetto stuck, but we still find a way to go outside and live it up. Fuck, I need some money. I would be a stick-up kid, but it's cameras on every corner in the sky, and it's easy to find out where you live. I don't smoke, but roll up, hold up. I just want to contact because I'm stressed. I got a couple ideas to get money, but the answer is never yes. Bet. Can't even pay my cable bill. I feel out of place with a floozy, a pen and a paper, dish no fish, just Detroit Tubi movies. Tonight's a test to see if I got pulled, write a poem, cause I'm paid in full. That's crazy how I just threw that Rakim up in there. And we talking Big Daddy Kane and LL. But it is what it is though. If it's a poem I got, I want to spit it, that's what I'm gonna do. But I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all for tuning in. Feel free to like, share the video, flick it to somebody else, text it to somebody, start a conversation off of it. You know, just have a little fun, a little bit of music talk. That's what we do, poetry and conversation. There's so much we can give and so much we can do. Always remember to never be afraid to dream, follow your goals, love what you do. I mean, put in that work, do what you gotta do. I mean, just involve yourself, love what you do it with passion. Just get it, just involve yourself with something. Keep yourself busy, just grind. I mean, get it, man. I love y'all, though. Poetry and conversation. Be sure to stay tuned. Next Tuesday, we'll have another topic. Next Tuesday at 6, we'll have more more poetry and conversation. I appreciate y'all. Rap Talk.